A very good morning to you. It is Good Morning Uganda, and it's time for the agenda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Welcome back from that business desk. On the agenda this morning, we're looking at the rights and the rights and responsibilities of citizens in Uganda. Do you know your rights? And do you know the responsibilities that come with those rights? Having this conversation with Anatoli Muletera, Commissioner Community Policing at the Uganda Police Force. Be part of the conversation, 0709 602 592. Afande, good morning.
Good morning, Juliet.
Happy New Year's.
By the way, Happy New Year to you. You know, the last time I knew you, you were Juliet. I don't know whether you changed names.
No, I've never changed.
That's good. Happy seeing you and happy seeing everybody. Good morning, fellow Ugandans on a big nations network. Right.
And you know why I've said Happy New Year's?
No, but I don't know.
Because it feels like I haven't seen you in years.
No, it is even you. You're supposed to be fined, only that I don't know how to get the fines from you.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So, Afande, let's get straight into it. What are the fundamental rights of a Ugandan and what responsibilities come with those rights?
Before you could be able to ask me what the fundamental rights for citizens, we need to know what are rights.
Okay.
How do rights come about? What are the instruments that ensure that each and every one enjoys those rights? We have different definitions of what a right is, but for fellow Ugandans to understand what a right is, you need to know that when you are born, there are certain things that are not given to you by anybody except God. They are certain, they are called inalienable. They are inborn in you. Nobody, as an individual, can be able to deny you what is. You know, rights, I could say, are an entitlement, which every person in a particular community or society or a nation should be able to enjoy without any due restriction. Now, that's why some definitions define them as inalienable, incompatible, and so on and so forth. Why? Because at birthright, you are given those entitlements by God. For example, the right to life. The right to life, the right to movement, the right to worship, the right to determine your conscience, your conscience. Those are inalienable. They are born in you. The right to own property, because you know when you are born, you become conscious that you need to own property, because even in the Bible, God said, go forward, produce and multiply. Not only on children, but even in owning property. So it becomes your entitlement as long as you own them in the right manner. Now, rights are determined or are, the rights are determined and safeguarded. Rights are safeguarded by certain instruments. For example, we have the legal instruments here in Uganda. And the first and supreme instrument is the Constitution. That Constitution provides a layout of all the rights for which each and every individual in Uganda which he has to enjoy. But the other issue I had forgotten is about the sources of those rights. What are the sources? the most fundamental, the Bible, or the religious books. For example, the Bible, the Quran, our traditional values, our cultural norms, then the law itself, like I've said. Then we have international treaties, which also safeguard the same. The other issue which Ugandans need to understand is why then, how did this safeguarding of rights come about? You know, when the world experienced wars, especially the First and Second World War, there was a lot of violation of rights of individuals. And therefore the framers and forefathers of these great nations realized that an individual cannot be able to live without knowing what he or she is entitled to. You know, we have people who know that they have life, but they don't know that it is their right to live in a secure and free environment. Two, we have individuals who are there, who own property, but they don't know that it is the right to own property. They think somebody else must determine for you to own such property. So the framers, especially from after the world wars in 1945-46, which culminated in 1948, there was the enactment of the Convention of Human Rights, especially that Human Rights Charter, the UN Human Rights Charter, on realizing that people lost lives, people lost property, and you know they had been subjected, and also on realizing that even the era of slave trade had a lot of negative impact on disregarding the rights of individuals, especially in the African continent. So the framers of that Human Rights Charter of 1948 wanted to enable, to set standards for which each and everybody must have his or her rights safeguarded in whatever circumstances. Later on, after the enactment of that Human Rights Charter, other continents also, especially the African continent, during that time of African Organization of African Unity, OAU, there was enactment, there was adoption of the same rights to the African continent. And equally so, it became a domesticated tool for various nations, especially Uganda being a signatory, and also making it a point that individual rights are safeguarded. So, having known that, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, especially the 1995 Constitution, in Chapter 4, Article 28, 29, clearly lays down these fundamental rights and freedoms of individuals. That it should be your own, it is your right to express yourself. You have a right to live. You have a right to own property. You have a right to move. You have a right to associate, and so on and so forth. However, while you are entitled to those rights, and while it is cognizant that the government of Uganda clearly enacted the laws for which each and every one of us must enjoy those rights go with obligations.
All right.
They are not in isolation. They cannot be, you cannot enjoy a right to life without an obligation to it. For example, if you so believe that you have your own right to life, I should not be able to violate the right to life of Juliet or my neighbor or any other person. And therefore, this means that while I need to enjoy my right to life, I should be able to recognize and respect your right. Two, while I need to associate with you, I need to associate in a manner that is accommodative, not trying to override my right to associate by either bullying you or shutting you down or trying to undermine you or try to assume that I'm superior to the other. No way. So those are the obligations for which we need to understand. Many a time, some Ugandans tend to assume that while they are there and they are doing whatever they need to do, they need to always glorify their rights. Dembe lyange okola kino, dembe lyange kyoboolaba, even parents who are disciplining their children, they do it and say, government yatujjako eddembe eryokugunjula abaana, all that kind of dembe lyange obawulira when they are. But all of that is said out of excitement, out of failure maybe to understand, but there is no right that you can be able to enjoy without obligation.
Right, Afande, therein, I'll ask, is ignorance a place of defense? Because many don't know that there are the responsibilities that come with the rights.
Now, Juliet, it is a birthright to be born ignorant. But it is an offense to remain perpetually ignorant. You need to understand that each and everyone, you know, our brain, according to the Latin, our brains are tabula rasa. They are born, they are born without anything. And therefore, we begin learning from association, from what other people talk, from how other people behave, and how you yourself accommodate that. And that's how now your brain begins synthesizing, it begins understanding, it begins discerning, it begins acting. Now, if you do not take up steps to overcome your ignorance and you wish to say so, that I am ignorant of this and so on and so forth, you know, the English law for which we adopted it by virtue of colonization has a precedence of ignorance is no defense in courts of law. In other words, what we tend to enforce here in Uganda, we are enforcing the English law. And therefore, the English law has no accommodation for whoever may desire to feign ignorance. Because although you are entitled, like I've said, at birthright, there are all steps that are put in place that should make you graduate from that. And therefore, it ceases being an excuse for you to say, I'm ignorant. Secondly, having said all of that, you know, sometimes different interpreters of the law tend to bring in a number of practices, especially they interpret the law and our enforcement of the law on the basis of court cases, which is a very good practice. They interpret the law according to culture. They interpret the law as it is. Now, we need to understand this also, that whereas Article 28 and Article 29 of the Constitution provides for those fundamental rights and freedoms, there is a general limitation on those rights, especially that while you are supposed to enjoy your right in doing whatever, while in a public place, for example, Juliet, this is what I need people to understand, that while in a public place, there are certain things that cannot be democratically be allowed. For example, in your room or in your bedroom, you can afford to be naked because it's your right. You can afford to shout because you're right. But when you leave your bedroom and come to the sitting room, where you know you have children, you have your wife, you have neighbors, you have your mother-in-law, what you practice there in the bedroom cannot be brought that. The same way, when you leave your house and come to a public domain, either a road or a market or a church or a mosque or a school or a hospital, there are certain things that you need to restrict yourself. And that is all what we are trying to say about the general limitation. That general limitation restricts you from exercising your right beyond what other people could accommodate of you. Like we are here. Aren't you entitled to talk?
Yes, I am.
But why are you quiet?
I have to listen.
Very good. That is what we are trying to say. Whereas I am talking, it is your obligation to listen and say, what is this one saying? But you see, we have some people who are very poor listeners.
Many.
And listening is a virtue. This is one other thing which people tend to forget. The other one, we have this business of taking cases to police. You are a complainant. You want at the same time to be an adjudicator at the police. You want at the same time to be the one following your case file. I mean, that is not how things are. If you have taken a case file to police, say you are complaining against theft of your property, it is incumbent upon the police to gather evidence, take that case file to the next level of the DPP, who peruses through. The issues that we have sometimes in Uganda, for which people have now taken for granted, is that they assume that they must be all everything. No way.
But Afande,
in life there are two sides.
It's the police officers that make us become that. You go to the police station and the police officer asks you for kitu kidogo, and if at all you've not given, he will sit on your file until you...
No, I understand your journey. I understand the point from which you are bringing that kind of whatever. But I want to ask you, maybe for the benefit of those who are listening to me,
please.
At what point of investigation or at what point of a case file does the police come in? You see, if we understand this, then we shall stop the basis of blame game.
Okay.
Because if, for example, I've been invited to say there is a matter which has happened at UBC TV, am I the first to be there when the offense is being committed, or I come in after the offense has taken place? This is what I'm trying to ask. So, the police cannot be all-knowing when they have not been there in the first place. So for you who have been there, you need to guide us. And the police will do a technical duty of asking, okay, it is said that there's been an offense of theft here. The first technical part of it is, can we process the scene of crime? 2, can we get the victim? 3, what was the level of participation? That is the technical part for which the police brings in. That is the expertise. But now, here is a scenario. You want now to assume that the police should determine how the offense was committed. Was it there? Who committed the offense? Were they there? How did it happen? Were they there? Those are questions that are answered by you. Why was it committed? Those are questions that must be answered by you to guide the police in gathering evidence for better gathering of information which will culminate into your file being sanctioned. and eventually better prosecution of your case. But if you desire to malign, you jump here and there, so on and so forth and so forth, then you are.
However, we should enjoy our rights according to the law. You wake up in the morning and start abusing the president and you think that's your right? That cannot be done in any part of the world. Uganda is indeed a free country. Credit to President Museveni. And someone else comes through and says, good morning, moderator. This is Francis Kisa from Muyenga, Kampala. In Uganda, we are not enjoying our rights. Really, officer, are you not lying to people? What are you not giving us mostly? What you're not giving us mostly is youth rights of speech. You don't want truth to you leaders. Kitu Gidogo is the big problem now in the police force, mostly in Zombo district. You don't help us unless someone gives you money. Then you smile. And finally, hi, Julie. I'm Phillips from Karamoja. Good morning, Afande. Thank you for coming to sensitize the population on their rights and responsibilities. Number one, do the traffic police have a right to extort money from drivers? Instead of holding drivers on wrongdoing, they get money and leave them to go even when the vehicle is in DMC. Number two, when the people report, you, the police, say is there evidence, and that is why the rights have been abused for you people. You don't listen to the people. Number three, you listen more to the culprit than to the victim. I have a relative whose home was vandalized. That is, the live fence was cut down. The culprits were arrested, detained, and were to appear before court. From nowhere, the files disappeared. The culprits were protected, and why? The victim reported, arrest done, but justice not given. Why? Finally, is police facilitated to investigate and arrest culprits? They say there is no money. They demand for fuel to arrest the culprit. What will poor persons do? Do they just sit back? For now, let's stop at those so that we allow Afande speak into each one of them. Over to you, Afande.
Julie, thank you. Thank you. Before I go to the comments,
yes, please.
I was alluding to the fact that we need to understand two terms from the onset of our talk. Although I have explained these fundamental rights, there is no right which is more superior to the other.
Right.
They are all equal. However, while you enjoy those rights, you need to know that rights do not go in isolation. You see, I think what these people who have spoken, who have given comments, forget. Let me give an ordinary example. When you say you are going to eat food, to say the food you are going to eat, which you will enjoy, and you are on a menu of food, must have other components of that food to make it tasty. If you are going to eat kalo, is kalo mashed well? How is it mashed? It is mashed with water, especially hot water. For those who come from Teso, they even use they use some certain substance to make it more tasty. You want to eat it with meat, you go and then paste it with ginas. Then while you eat, you also need to get drinking water or even soda or even... Now, this is it. While we are talking about rights, like the right to life, the right to life does not go in isolation. It is like that cocktail I have talked about. So if you really want to begin questioning yourself, why does this one happen? Why does the police do this? Why? One, let's know what are the duties of the police in ensuring that while it is your right to own a car, it is not your indispensable right to own a DMC or even to own a car that commits offense and goes on by, it is the duty of the police to guide you. But while guiding you, don't allow this extortion. Now, the good thing I like of Ugandans is on such talk shows, they are very quick on accusations. And that is another right they are now developing for themselves. Apportioning blame. Well, policy, well, I am going to leave you with my number. But at the same time, I'm not the first and last to come here to give you numbers. Let me ask, there is this gentleman from Karamoja who had coached a number of questions for me. Do you mean to say that there is no structure of the police there? Do you mean to say that the entire police in Karamoja is what you are saying about? Do you mean to say that you have never heard about this kind of sensitization? That you would be able to raise such issues? You know, we are complacent. We want to talk about things as if you are talking about the sign of the cross. You know, I'm a Catholic. We make the sign of the cross from the chin in the name of the Father. And it will never start from the umbilical cord coming down, upward. What we are talking about are things that are changeable. There are things that can be transformed. There are things that can be dealt with, especially when we are dealing with youth here. Now, I want to inform you that if a policeman does not do his duty, the duty of a policeman is different from the right. While he's there, it is his right to be protected. While he's there, it is his right to own life. While he's there, it is his right to be respected and not be discriminated. But what are his duties on the road? You know, we need to differentiate between the two. What are the duties of a policeman on the road? The first fundamental, there are two. The first fundamental is enforcement of the law. The second one is preventing public disorder. Now, if he's enforcing the law, and is enforcing the law by extorting, that is a crime. That is an offense. If he's not preventing crime from happening, he himself is also a suspect. So we need to understand that. Two, you have talked about the issue of a victim versus culprit. At the police, we are not the judges to determine who is a culprit, who is a victim. What we do is to compile case. What we may be able to do is that when we get enough evidence, particularly that can be able to assume that Muletera has committed a case, then we relieve him of his right to move around by detaining him.
Excuse me.
But even when we detain him, he still enjoys those other rights which he is entitled to. For example, the right to life while in our cells, the right to medication, the right to food, the right to talk to his relatives and counsel, and so on and so forth. The only right we have restricted this suspect is the right to move and the right to maybe associate, because we would have associated by moving everywhere. So we restrict on that. So, but this business of saying a victim is not supported, one, it is not our duty to expunge justice by saying, no, the victim is not supposed to come to police and therefore we cannot. No. That is another responsibility of another organ of government.
Right.
So I want to call upon you, please build trust in us. We are there. The only thing is that sometimes you talk certain things from a point of hearsay. And hearsay is not good. The hearsay is a point of prophesying doom, which does not in any way...
so some have actually experienced.
Yeah, it is true. If they have experienced, then that is very unfortunate, but that's why we are there as supervisors. The first and most important supervisor on top of us is the Inspector General of Police. But in your respective regions, the representative of the Inspector General of Police is the RPC. Have you ever reached out to those representatives? We have the DPCs. We have the regional CLOs. We have the district CLOs. Have you ever reached them? Now, facilitation. Fellow policemen, you are aware that our duty is not to do or to carry out our duty in a skewed manner, conditioning our services. If you don't give me this, I'll do this. If you don't do this, no. Our expedition of duty is in an impartial manner. You do not need to tell your own victim that you don't have money, and therefore you should be able to provide for you money. Have you kept that money with him? Is he your supervisor? But somehow, please, I did not understand, I did not get the name of this. Sometimes it is a connivance. I have a live example. There was a gentleman who came to me a few days ago. He came from here, Kira. He had got a parent who visited him, and that parent had paid him in dollars. He had paid $100. So he felt that he should take that money for exchange, and he came downtown here. Now, while he was at downtown here, at the Forex Bureau, from nowhere, those at the Forex Bureau began saying, those are fake dollars, fake dollars, fake dollars. You can imagine, these are Forex people. They immediately began slapping this gentleman. Before the police, they grabbed the money. And I'm told, one said, I'm going to show you today, since you have been supplying these fake dollars, I'm going to show you. The man said, no, I am a teacher. I have got. Said, no. We are aware of how you pretend. They detained this man in their underground, in the basement there for an hour. Telling the man, you better bring the right dollars. What? The man said, I don't have dollars. Said, okay. I think after detaining him and realizing the man was not cooperative enough, they called in the police. Upon calling the policeman also came. There I was told that they even connived with the policeman and said, now, but they were not even doing that with the knowledge of OC. They got these other ranks. These ones who are guarded at the police. They got him. You know, for you when you find us anywhere and you say, Jamba Fani. Afande is only one at a station. So who is an Afande at a police station? Is the OC. These others are support staff. Now for you, Jamba Fani. Now you cause an impression, and they even began giving names of people whom they were claiming to be policemen. So from nowhere, because the man wanted his peace, he called his wife. The wife brought a receipt. They brought identity card. They showed these people. The other people got the dollars from them, and eventually they paid them $700,000. And the man was released at 10. So it really haunted this man. Until again, another friend of his in Masaka, whom he called, and upon calling him, he called me. I told them, no, find a dandy come. So they came on Tuesday. When I tried to look through the chain of command, the OC of the station was not there. He was not even aware of the offense. He was not even aware that this man had ever been detained. 2, the DPC was not aware. He did not even know that there was this man who was detained. He even did not know that there was an exchange of money worth 700,000. He even did not know that even $100 had been extorted from this man. So I called him and he came. Said, But to cut the whole story short, yesterday was when?
Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
26th.
Yes. So he came on Tuesday. I handed him the people. Yesterday, this man called me jubilating. Said, Afan, I didn't know that this is how the police works. The impression I got was that my money had gone, had lost hope in the police, but I want to inform you, I got my money. And these policemen who did that have been reprimanded. I said, but no, we are always telling you, we have a chain of command. Please, fellow Ugandans, we have a chain of command.
Afandi, then sensitize us on the process of police or law enforcement and that chain
Juliet,
of command.
don't become excited on whatever everything I talk. Otherwise, you are going to make my talk to be Katongo. Give me another opportunity to come here and talk to you about the chain of command.
All right, no problem.
But as we talk about these rights and obligations, I want to emphasize, when going to the policeman, one, you are entitled to free services at our police. And free services include, please Juliet note, they include free registration of a statement from you, a right to a fair hearing. That is most fundamental. While you are there, the police must be able to listen to you and give you an opportunity to express yourself as they evaluate the information. Two, you have a free service of, if you are the complainant, the police should go to the field and investigate the matter, and where possible, cause an arrest. Because when I say where possible, you know, there are certain cases which are not so severe in nature, and therefore would not want to rush into arresting in a boomerang manner. No, 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 no. We need to go gradual. You can even be able to understand the status of somebody, so that even if somebody has been maybe slapped, you give the benefit of doubt of the person who has slapped him by saying, no, let's compile evidence while you have reported on police bond. While you are there, you are entitled to an update of your case file, how it is progressing. But I know there is a lacuna in that area, simply because of the numerous cases that are brought. You know, you realize that one policeman is handling 20 cases on a daily basis. Now, giving update may not be, timely update may not be possible. But where possible, that you can call him or her to get that update. 4, when you have been arrested and taken to police, it is the duty of the police to feed you, to protect you, to give you a police bond, which is free. I know there is a smell when I talk about a free police bond. But like I've said, there is a lot of connivances.
Right.
You know, your relatives come already saying, why? Afande, go na aliawa. Tukule mkadirwa. Ofunira muwa. Why? Chine chisajja china sente. Kwigambanga. Even before the policeman has thought about money, already those who are following you are already imprinting some information from the at the police, that you have money and therefore they should be able to get. And if you get a policeman who has come, maybe he's stressed up as a person, he in most times succumbs on pressure for which you have. But it is not because it is our way of work. Now, evaluating evidence, like this gentleman has talked about, it is not our duty. When we compile this, we compile it on the basis of knowing that this is the evidence we gather. But the one who evaluates the evidence in a legal manner and therefore guides the police is the resident state attorney. That is the office of the DPP. Upon doing that, he refers the case file back to police and he said, please bring the suspect to court or discharge the suspect for lack of enough evidence. That is at the level of resident state attorney. Who is the resident state attorney? This is the government lawyer in simple terms. In cases which are criminal, the government lawyer is the office of the DPP. And that's why in criminal cases, because it is always the government that takes over them, they say Uganda versus, because the government lawyer is the one who will stand on behalf of the government of Uganda to give evidence or to support evidence and urge the evidence in courts of law.
A lot to learn from this conversation, and yet our time is fast spent. Afande, there are a lot of comments. We'll definitely be bringing you back, but let's try to chew on some of them as they're coming through. Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. On constitutional rights and responsibilities of citizens, may I request to know which law allows police to detain a culprit for more than 24 hours without introducing him or her to court? Because this is a vice very common and it's practiced by our police in Uganda. Otherwise, kudos to you, the presenter, and the commissioner for having broken this discussion to a layman's language for us to understand. Watching you live from Mbale City, pardon me, it's Marble City, Moroto Karamoja region. This is Jalpara Felix Pamu Unique. Could you please speak to Felix? Why are people detained for more than 24 hours?
One, I would want to guide, what is his name?
He is, just a second.
Okay, I've known him from
Jalpara Felix.
Yes, Felix, thank you. It is not 24, it is 48.
48.
Yes. There are a number of issues, there are a number of challenges which sometimes go beyond our reach, go beyond our means. When I was a DPC CPS around 2009, there was a woman who was suspected to have murdered her husband over wealth. And the relatives were all in arms to kill this woman. The truth of the matter, I could not be able to detain this woman. But circumstances beyond me enabled me to consult, to see how do I protect this. Remember, we are talking about one of the major roles of the Uganda Police Force is to protect life and property.
Right.
So I don't want Felix to omit that point. The law, like I've told you, cannot be enforced in isolation. Certain things are in interplay. You know, that's why the law is quite intricate. It has a lot that ordinarily you need to understand when you are trying to ask certain things. So, when this woman was brought, I consulted. And the woman and relatives also came, saying, why do you want to take this woman? Why? Is that the right of? Then I told them, no. Under the Constitution, there is our third role of detecting and preventing. When you detect that there is a possible danger, what are the next steps you can be able to do in order to prevent that danger from taking place. That's why we tend to conduct preventive arrest. So that we can detect, we can prevent a possible danger which would have done what? Honestly, we detained this woman for 72 hours, and on weighing that the danger had calmed down. I want to tell you, and even Felix, this woman ran back on her own, coming to the police, saying, I better stay at the police than going there. Now, Felix, if we have a duty to protect life and property, and there is a law of the 48 hours, I need you to guide me. If you are the policeman, what would you do?
Protect life.
So, there are certain things that you don't need to look at the law from the surface.
At that times, it's abused.
Yeah.
The judgment is abused. It's narrated as a judgment.
No,
but
we don't have. No. Julie, let me guide you on that. Police, we don't judge. We use discretion.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes.
We use the discretionary power. The power that, our 99 say, but if I did this, is it human for me to carry it out or let me? Yes. What you have asked is true. There are instances when individuals, but not the institution. Because the discretion gives it that when you are doing something, premise it on an explanation. Yes, you give an explanation and say, I'm doing like I'm giving you this. I'm explaining because I need to protect life and property. But if you do it for your individual benefits, no. You'll be made accountable. You'll have to explain for such actions. But secondly, we all need to understand that there are certain precarious, there are certain violent cases which we cannot be able to take for granted. For example, cases of murder. Felix, honestly, in Karamoja, people have had their lives taken away. I've told you it is a right to life, but somebody is being killed by a neighbor, by some of the cattle rustlers, in a violent manner. And the police goes hunting for this man. Maybe he has even escaped from the... Because by then, let me tell you, you see, if you knew that you are very powerful, and therefore when you commit a crime, you cannot be able to run, then you remain in the same place. But people commit a crime and even run away. So it becomes the duty of police to begin searching for these people, which may take a month, a year, or years. Felix, if it was you, you have arrested somebody, and the scene of crime has expanded from one place to another, what would you do? But there is a practice against the abuse, which I need Felix to understand. There is a practice against the abuse or against the arbitrary failure to observe the 48 rule power. One, if you realize that your case file has at least some information about it, update court. Go, inform court. Court has all those magisterial or judicial powers to either remand the person or guide you further on what you can be able to do. And it is a practice that is allowed. Yes, yeah.
Wow, very, very profound. Now, I love the fact that Afande Muleterwa endeavors to explain to the detail. The downside to it, though, is that our time is fast spent and your comments are many. So, Afande will just kindly ask that you give us more time the next time we invite you.
No, you also give me more time. Because if you want me to give you more time but you don't extend your time, then... Also give me more time.
That communique has been passed to management, but this conversation, pardon me, has to come to a close. And Afande, on that note, what are your parting shots regarding rights and the responsibilities of citizens in Uganda?
The spirit of everybody is the right to life. The spirit of everybody is the right to life. And no right supersedes that right. Because we are created in the image of God. What you are, Julie, is the image of God. What I am is the image of God. And this right is supreme to other rights. I therefore want to call upon others, especially those who are listening, that to support this right to life, those other rights come in, but they are not super to this one. I therefore want to call upon you who are listening and viewing, while you enjoy your right, let it be in a responsible manner. While I am enforcing the law on the road, while I am sensitizing people all out there, let it be in a responsible manner, that I do not use my power to violate people's rights. I know why some of these questions are rising, because somehow those of us who are, by the way, Juliet and those listening, and to the policemen who are there, as the police, we tend to be measured on a higher yardstick of knowledge. And we assume, people assume that we know more than them, and therefore we need to understand that. But I want also to urge the people who are listening and viewing that, like you have a right to life, the policemen also have their right to life. Therefore, let's respect each other.
Very profound at that. Thank you so much. Let's respect each other. And some of the nuggets I have picked from this conversation that I should call take-homes and worth chewing on as you go about your daily work. The first one Afande said was, it is a birthright to be ignorant, but it is a crime to remain perpetually ignorant. The other, he says, is the fact that all rights are equal, but no right is superior to the other. And of course, you should know that the duties of a policeman, any policeman you see in the place of operation where you're operating, one, it's for them to keep law and order, and the other is to enforce law and keep the order. We bring it to a close. Let's do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Friday, which is a good thing, because it's a Friday edition of Good Morning Uganda, and one that launches you into the weekend. For now, as you prepare to get into the weekend, have a blessed day. And Chiravo is coming back with GMU Extra for God and my country. Good morning.